In this video, we're going to have a look at a HiBlow HP80 pump. Some of you may be watching this video because you want to know how to repair your pump after it stopped working, and by the end of this video you'll know exactly how to do that. I'll introduce you to each of the main components of the pump, you'll learn how it works, I'll show you the main factor which has most likely stopped your pump working, and then we'll look at some alternatives to this kind of pump, just in case you can't get this type or model in your geographic area. And finally, I'll show you where you need to go if you need to buy a refit kit or a rebuild kit in order that you can repair your pump. So let's start by having a look at the pump itself. You can see the exterior of the pump here, along with the black cable, which will plug into your plug socket. If I spin it around, we can actually see the inside of the pump. I know it looks like there's quite a lot going on here, but don't worry, I'm going to explain to you exactly what all of these components are doing and how it all works. And if I play the animation, you can actually see that the parts are moving now. And if I pause it again, we can run through the components before we have a look at exactly how air is pumped by this pump. The main components that we're going to look at are the casing. This is the upper casing, and then we have the lower casing. We have a black cable coming out that will connect to our alternating current voltage supply. This might be 110 volts or 220 volts. It's not going to be 380 volts because that's quite a large amount of voltage for this kind of pump. We've got a sound shield. That is the yellow piece that is going around the internal parts of the pump. It's more of a sound dampener. It's so you can install the pump underneath the floorboards or somewhere nearby, and you don't have to listen to it humming in the background whenever it's switched on. We have an air filter. That is actually this piece here. We've got a couple of diaphragms. Then we've got a magnetic plate which is installed in the middle of the pump. On each side of the pump, we've got some pumping chambers. And inside the pumping chambers are pumping valves. Let me just see if I can move around and we can get a look at that. Pumping valves are these light grey areas indicated now. And then on the side of the pump, we've actually got the air discharge. And that is this pipe here. And that's where our air is going to come out of the pump. You might be using this pump for a pond or perhaps for a septic tank, but essentially it's an aeration pump. It's actually a linear diaphragm aeration pump, and we're going to use it for blowing air or circulating air within a system. As I say, a pond or a septic tank, those are typical applications for this kind of pump. So now we know a little bit about the components, let's have a look at how the pump works. Now this is very important because if you know how it works, you'll know how to repair the pump as well. Let's zoom in. You can see here that we've actually got some holes in the side. These are air inlet holes, and we're going to draw air into this top chamber, and the air is going to fill up the space in the top chamber here. You can see we've also got some holes on the opposite side, that's these here. And the air, once it's filled up the space in the top chamber, we're actually going to draw the air through this filter. And the air will pass from the top of the filter to the bottom. Once we've drawn the air through the base of the filter, it's actually going to go through a passage and it's going to come out of this hole here. Remember, the design is symmetrical. That is to say, the design is the same on both sides of the pump. If I zoom in, you can actually see there's a hole. The air will be drawn in, and now we're going to see what is drawing the air in. Let's just play the animation for a moment. You can see we've actually got a diaphragm that's being pushed left and then right and then left and then right, etc. And as it's moving, it's actually drawing air in and out of the pumping chamber. It's going to draw air in from this chamber here through the valve, and then it's going to push air out through this valve here. So we're sucking air in and discharging air out. You can see that these bits of rubber are actually just being flattened against suction and discharge ports, little holes. You zoom in, you can see we've got little holes here. And when the diaphragm is moving outwards, or let's say to the right, if we go from this perspective over here, then this little valve opens, and when the diaphragm moves to the left, then this little valve closes. And the opposite occurs on this valve here, and that is our suction valve. So we suck air in and discharge air out. Same again, suck air in, discharge air out. So it's quite a simple design, and we'll discuss how that's working in a moment. But the air is then discharged through this connection here, this pipe. You can see it's got a little hose clamp on it. And once we've discharged the air through this pipe, it actually goes into the base of the pump itself. Now this is the base of the pump. I'm just going to zoom in, go through the wall. There is one of the holes that connects to the diaphragm pumping chamber. There is the other one on the opposite side. The air comes out and then it will be discharged or exit through this hole here. Let's just zoom out. We can actually see our power connection there as well. So we can connect a hose to this connection, and then we'll send that off to our pond or our septic tank or whatever we're using our pump for. So we're now pumping air. Notice that both connections are just discharging or just pumping the air into the base of the pump. So there's no complicated arrangement here of piping or anything like that. Let me just pause the animation for a moment. You might be wondering what is driving the diaphragms. Well, the diaphragms are moving because we actually have an electromagnet here. And you can also see on this side, it would be placed on this rectangular plate. When we supply alternating current to our electromagnets, or to any electromagnet for that matter, what's actually going to happen is we're going to create an alternating magnetic field around our electromagnets. That means we have a north-south magnetic pole that is created around our electromagnets every time the alternating current switches from positive to negative. If we look at this in simple terms, when you plug the pump in, you're creating a varying electromagnetic field within that pump. Why is this important? Well, this plate, this black-grey item here, it is actually a permanent magnet. Now, you might remember from your school days that when you try and put a north pole and a south pole of a magnet together, they actually attract. When you put north to north or south to south, the magnets actually repel each other, or the magnetic poles repel each other. That's exactly what is happening inside this pump. We're creating an electromagnetic field, and it is pushing and pulling our permanent magnetic plate. And the result is that we're pushing and pulling it left and right in order to move our little diaphragms. The movement is actually so small that if you read the manual associated with this pump, they actually just call it vibration. It's vibrating left to right or right to left. So that's how the pump is working, and hopefully now you understand how it works, and you might even be able to go off and repair it, or at least check some of the items that I mentioned to see if the pump is damaged or why it's not working. 9 times out of 10, there's going to be 2 things that have happened to your pump. One is that the diaphragm, either one of them or both, is damaged. So this diaphragm here, maybe it is damaged and it's ripped. And when it rips, what's going to happen then is this magnetic plate, rather than being stopped as it pushes to the right, it actually just keeps going. And when it keeps going, it breaks a safety device that's installed in the pump. The safety device is a safety screw. It breaks and opens an electrical switch, and this stops the voltage supply to our electromagnets. In short, the pump stops working. You can see on the image here that we have a safety screw, a beam, a nut, a spring electrode, and an L-shaped lever. When the screw breaks, the spring electrode opens and the pump stops working. When that happens, you need to replace the diaphragms, replace the safety screw, and then the pump will start working again. You can also take the pump apart and inspect things like the permanent magnet, but what I recommend you do is buy yourself a rebuild kit. You can find links for that in the comments section and also in the video description, or just head over to wholesale.septicsupply.com and you'll be able to find a rebuild kit there, and you can purchase the diaphragms and some of the other components that you'll commonly need to replace when the pump gets a little bit old or when something breaks. Since you're going to be opening up the pump, then it makes sense to do some little jobs as well, like change the air filter. If we go back to our 3D model, I can show you that the safety screw is normally mounted around here or just on the top section. You'll see it because although we can't see it on our 3D model because it would normally be on this side, there is a copper contact and it has a little nut on it. It's actually quite hard to get to and quite finicky sometimes. And that is what's holding your electrical circuit or your electrical switch in place. If the safety screw breaks, then it will just pop open and you'll be able to easily see that. And then you'll probably notice that your diaphragms are broken as well or ripped. And then you can just replace the diaphragm blocks, replace the safety screw, and then the pump will start working again. A typical HiBlow pump or a HP80 pump, HP60, HP40, whatever you might have, will have an average life of 3 to 5 years before you need to perform some sort of repair on it, and that's normally just replacing the diaphragms. If you're in a hotter country or if your pump's operating in quite a hot environment, then it will have a shorter life before you need to do some repairs. You might be looking for alternatives to this type of linear diaphragm pump, and the most common alternative that you're likely to encounter is actually a rotary vane pump. They're generally used for larger applications. If you have quite a small pump, such as a HP40, HP60, HP80, then you're not really going to get much benefit from a rotary vane pump. If you're needing to use the pump for a larger application, then you may get a benefit. Rotary vane pumps are actually more expensive to operate, so you need to factor that in, especially if the pump's going to be in operation the entire time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The electricity costs are just slightly higher for a rotary vane pump, but rotary vane pumps are a lot more robust, and the service life that you'll get from a rotary vane pump before you have to perform any type of repair is generally going to be longer than for a linear diaphragm pump. The diaphragms themselves are actually quite weak, whereas the vanes inside a rotary vane pump do not wear down considerably over time. It's normally the springs behind the vanes that actually wear down, and those are the things that you need to replace. I should also mention that a rotary vane pump is slightly louder, so if you're looking for a quiet small pump, then you're better going for a linear diaphragm type pump than a rotary vane pump. So we've looked at some of the components associated with this pump, we've looked at how it works, I've told you about the diaphragms breaking and the effect that has on the safety screw, and that is 90% of the time the most common failure mode that you're likely to have with this pump. We looked at an alternative type of pump, such as the rotary vane pump, and maybe if you're getting a larger pond, a larger septic tank, or something like that, you may want to upgrade to a rotary vane pump. It all depends on the conditions though, so I wouldn't race out just to buy another larger pump because bigger is not always better, especially when you add up all the running costs. Don't forget that if you need a rebuild kit, or perhaps you want to have some advice concerning what pump to use with your pond or septic tank or whatever else you're trying to aerate, then check out some of the links in the comments or video description areas, or just shoot us an email at wholesale.septicsupply.com and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.